Hi guys, today I want to talk about spiritual tools and how we can use spiritual tools for our cats. And this applies to any animal, but specifically for our cats. Gigi's joining me. I guess I want to start by just letting you know my own belief system. My own belief system is I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe he is the savior of the world, and I do my best to follow his teachings. And this is not to say that this belief system is necessary for you to use these tools or that we need to share belief systems. I really don't believe that. These are spiritual tools that anybody can access. The only thing that you really need in order to use these tools is just to have a belief that there is a higher power.
Sorry, little cattail. Just a little cattail.
Let's get going, talking about a variety of tools. The first tool I want to talk about is words. We might not necessarily think of words as something spiritual. We use words every day, and so they become so commonplace that we forget about the power they have. What I mean by the power is the things we speak actually create, the things we think create, the energy we embody in our lives is a creative tool. One of the things I notice frequently with clients is the naming of cats with negative words. There was an adoption event that I was at as a volunteer years ago, and the most popular kitten at that event was named Voldemort. And it totally worked. Everybody wanted to see Voldemort, wanted to hold Voldemort, touch Voldemort, and it was quite witty. But as a permanent name, I would ask us all to use caution. What is the energy, the meaning behind the name that we're giving our cat? If you named your cat Lucifer, like from Cinderella, then you might be creating a cat that's kind of a bully or aggressive. Be cautious about the names we pick. They need to evoke positive feelings for us when we say them. Just think about that. Just think about your words as well as when we're communicating with our cats. They do understand the energy behind our words. They understand, I believe, far more than we give them credit for. Using positive words, words of healing, words of affirmation are a true spiritual benefit to our cats. For instance, when your cats are quarreling, instead of saying, "Oh no," and getting that angry energy and vibe, you say, "Hey guys, let's be nice. Keep it nice. Come on, walk away, walk away. Hey, keep it nice." That is a much better, more effective approach to dealing with sibling squabbles in a multi-cat home. Words have energy. Energy creates our reality. So we want to make sure that the words we're using, especially for names, are positive, evoke feelings of love and affection. All the nicknames that you have need to be the same. They need to be positive. Think about our words and what we're bringing forth when we use them. Angelic help. This is something I wish I understood for my entire life, but I didn't. I should have had better recognition that they were an option for help. We all have access to the same power, and angels are part of that. When communicating with angels, it's generally best to speak out loud. And to clarify, I'm not recommending that we pray to angels. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we communicate with them. We talk to them. We ask for their help. I do this on a daily basis now. It works best if we're specific. Like if we, in general, just say, angels, I'd like to feel your presence. It's kind of specific. But if we say, angels, I need you to help me find the cat collar that got lost. Super specific. If your cat gets lost, you can ask for angelic help to keep them safe until you can find them, keep them safe until they find their own way home. Or if your kitty is an indoor-outdoor kitty, like one of mine is, all of mine have access to the backyard, but only one is allowed to roam. It's like if the kitty hasn't come home and we've been calling, I always say, angels, can you please send Honey home? 9 times out of 10, she comes trotting home within a few minutes after I make that specific request. At night, I ask angels to watch over specific animals. And, with shielding, with angelic support, and with prayer, I find that spats are almost non-existent. in my home now. I should put that caveat while I'm sleeping, because that's when I ask for the help, when I'm not conscious to give my own help. Let's talk about prayer. And I'm talking about formal prayer. And we'll also talk about intention, which is kind of a prayer, but formal prayer, where you are asking the God that you believe in for the things that you're needing help with. Specifically for me, I ask that God magnifies my efforts with my cats and with my clients. I'm trying to be in the habit to do it every time, but I often pray before I have a phone call with clients, before I write up my plans for clients, because I am hoping for insight greater than my own on how to deliver the information, or what to bring up, or what questions important to ask. If you have a sick kitty, prayer will be important there. If you have a lost kitty, prayer is important. If you have quarreling in your home, prayer is important. Ask God to magnify all the other efforts you're making. Prayer is a benefit, especially because it brings us comfort. And when our energies are balanced, when we feel more at peace, then we're a better influence for our animals that might be suffering or struggling or in need of extra love. So I hope you'll think about that if you haven't already. Start praying for your cats. Along with prayer comes intention. Intention is such a huge thing to incorporate into our cat care. For example, if we're giving a supplement or a medication, or your cat is getting vaccinated, intention or prayer around that can be very beneficial. You can ask that the medication be purified, that the animal will process it appropriately, that it will be of use to their bodies, increasing that intention. The same thing when using crystals. We have to give a specific intention for that crystal. We don't just put it on and walk away or set it out without any intention, because then it's as if energetically the crystal doesn't know what you want it to do. I know crystals are not sentient, but I'm talking on a quantum plane, like the energy. What do you want it to do? So for instance, I'm wearing my blue lace agate. I'm wearing this with the intention that it helps me be calm, helps me communicate clearly what I'm trying to communicate in this video. I also have on my rainbow moonstone, which helps me be more gentle, more loving, which is what I want to show up for you all in that way. Oh, this is a great thing to think about. Healing, light, and love. Using your own hands, your own mind, your own visualization and intention to, place your hands on your cat and ask for healing, light, and love to come through you as a vessel, to give them love, to give them healing, to use that to intensify the other efforts that you're making to help them heal from an illness or a behavior. Shielding is a fun one. The concept of shielding is that it's an energy thing. So when I shield my cats, it's for a specific purpose, intention. I stroke them down there, from the top of their head down the spine as I'm placing the shield, asking for it to be there. And I visualize it in my mind's eye, the shape, the color, the texture. Visualizing in that way increases the intention. So I shield Honey when she goes out for the day, wandering around. I shield Prim at night because her confidence is low and I really want her to feel better about herself. So yeah, consider that with your animals. What situations do they need shielding? Shielding might be great if they have to have x-rays, do an energetic shield around them so that their bodies are protected from radiation. You can do the same thing if you live in an area with power lines and you want to shield yourself and your animals, shield them. Shielding is something that I recommend you do every day and with intention. It doesn't quite work as well with shielding if you just do it once and then never do it again or never think about it again. There's something about that daily intention of creating that energy of protection. Fasting. The idea behind fasting is that for your higher power, you're presenting yourself in a way of humility. It's about opening yourself up to miracles. Fasting and prayer are even stronger when done in community. So if you have friends or family, loved ones, social media following, reaching out to them and asking for prayer and fasting, good vibes if your friends are not prayerful people. It doesn't always have to be a food fast, especially if you're someone who cannot do a food fast. You can choose something else that is a sacrifice for you, whatever that might be that's really important to you, to abstain from it for a time. Like a food fast is usually 24 hours. Abstaining from something like television, you might do that for a week. Fasting is about sacrifice, humility, and opening yourself up to other possibilities, inspiration, miracles, influence, support. So when your animal is really sick, or when your animal is lost, or when your kitty cat has a really serious behavioral problem and you're trying to figure out how to resolve it, this is an option to add to the mix. Music can be a very spiritual tool. Music and words, especially combined together, can be very powerful. Keep that in mind, whether it's a positive energy or a negative energy that we're bringing in with our music. A lot of modern day music, pop music, rap music, that kind of stuff is generally more negative, not uplifting, certainly not complicated music. So not stimulating for our brains. And the same is true for our cats. That same energy is going to impact them when we have it playing in the home. So you might think about choosing classical music. You might think about choosing spiritual music. You might think about choosing healing music that have specific frequencies, hertz, that resonate with what your animal needs or what you need, whether that's healing, relaxation. There's a whole variety of different hertz and what they help support within the mental body, the physical body, and the spiritual body. So think about your music and what you're playing in the home. And same is true for television and any kind of audio that's prevalent in your home. What's the energy behind it? Is it helping or hindering your environment? You want to choose things that are calming. You want to choose things that are uplifting. You want to choose things that are positive in their messaging. And that's for you and your cat. So I talked a minute ago about crystals, and I'm including them in spiritual tools because it's a natural formation created by God and has healing potential. They have vibrational frequencies and colors. Those are usually kind of aligned, the color and the frequency. And we use them to support specific things. And like I said, I use mine with intention, sometimes with prayer. And there's such a wide variety of stones and crystals and how we can incorporate it into our cats' lives. Now, obviously, you have to be careful with your animals that they don't pose a choking hazard. So we need to use them as appropriately as possible. Something that I make, are crystal pet necklaces. And I know you're like, what? A pet necklace? Why would I have a pet necklace? But these are not for looks. This is not for looks, guys. They are pretty, but these are for specific healing purposes. They are magnetic. The collars can break away should there be a need for them to break away. This one I made for my Trixie. It's got a rainbow moonstone and rose quartz and howlite and selenite and clear quartz. And all of these are curated to help her be calm, to help her feel loved. She struggles with some anxiety and clinginess. She doesn't wear it 24/7. It's not meant to be used that way. And this one for Skippy is to help him not be a pest, a bully. It's got stones that are curated to help support him in being more loving, more gentle, more peaceful. Crystals, as larger stones you can set around the house. You can have more medium-sized stones that you can place in cat beds or right next to them, and select your stones based on the needs of your animal. And it's kind of fun, and they're really beautiful, so it's always fun to have beauty around. I think crystals are a great spiritual tool to add to your toolkit. Energy work. There is a spiritual component to energy work. It is a healing modality, and you don't have to be spiritual in order for it to work for you. You don't. But I find that when you add spirituality, what I mean by that is prayer before you do energy work, as well as inviting angelic support when you do energy work, being open to receive inspiration, intuition, guidance while you're doing energy work, that increases, it magnifies the results. It magnifies the potential for healing that can be found through energy work. And I specifically use the emotion code, body code, belief code. I also use EFT or tapping. These are modalities that I'm trained in, know how to use. There are other modalities out there. Reiki obviously is a huge one, been around for a long time. Body talk, I'm trying to think. There's so many that you can look at. Foot zoning, although I don't know how you foot zone a cat. That should be interesting. Rapid eye technology, RET. That one's a great one. But again, not sure how it translates to pets. That's why I love body code, belief code, because they work on pets so well. There's no stress for the animal because they do not have to be present. And it's just a really great way to help lift the emotional baggage a cat might be carrying and to help them then be able to heal more readily. Animal communication. I'm not an animal communicator, although that would be super cool, but I have used an animal communicator a couple times and found it very beneficial. Find somebody that you trust, somebody that you believe is connected. And I guess the connection would probably be through that quantum field. The belief is everything is connected by energy, everything. And this is what I believe when I do energy work. This is how I can tap in to a cat's subconscious mind, is that everything is connected energetically. So if we are specific in our intention and where our focus is at, we can tap in and get answers. And so that's very similar with animal communication, tapping into your animal to find out what it is that they are seeking, needing, hoping for. Sometimes the information is spot on. Sometimes it's subjective. We just go with it, right? As far as deciphering for ourselves what's spot on and what may not be, but it can be really helpful in knowing what to do for our kitty cats and how to help them heal, recover, grow, change, provide for them. So the last thing I want to talk about is having the intention of everything you do being for the highest good for all. And it can be a tricky one to have that intention. Sometimes we're so focused on self, we're so focused on just the animal that we're concerned with. But we want to make sure that when we're approaching healing, when we're approaching training, when we're approaching changes in our lives, to be prayerful that it's in the highest good for all involved. We might really want a healing for our sick cat, and it may not be what is best for the cat or even for you. And so we have to leave ourselves open to what is in the highest good, spiritually speaking, emotionally speaking, universally speaking. What is the most important thing that happens here, and how can I be supportive of that? And that comes down to having that real belief in a higher power, a greater power, an omniscient power that sees what we cannot. And we often in our lives, when we look back, we can see why something hard was beneficial. And it's that same idea when we're seeing the highest good for all. So if Kitty doesn't get healed and passes, we need to do our best to accept, especially in cases of loss. I always find it so sad when people are so heartbroken by a loss that they refuse to love another animal. And there are so many animals that need love, that need safe homes. And if you had that much love for one animal, you can have it again for another. But we get so caught up in what we lost, how it hurt us, that we forget that there's a greater purpose to all things. And so I would ask that you consider that when you're looking at spiritual things and pondering the outcomes that you're experiencing. Is it in your greatest good, or the greatest good of the animal, or the greatest good of the community? I thank you for hanging in there for this spiritual topic, especially if it's not your cup of tea. I hope you learned something. I hope you feel good about something. You don't have to do all of these things, but pick one or two that just resonate with you, make sense, and you want to try it. And then I just want to do a little tiny plug for my book here, Perfecting Your Bond, a practical and spiritual guide to create a lasting, loving relationship with your kitty. I would love you guys to pick up this copy. There's a lot more information in here on our own healing and how our own healing can help create a really amazing bond with our pets, our kitty cats. So I hope you'll check it out. And if you purchase it, please leave a review. That would be super fantastic. Thanks, you guys. And I will see you next time.